Hi everyone. I never planned to share this with anyone, but maybe someone out there will read my story and feel less alone, or smarter than I was. I was 22 when I met my first husband. Just a girl, honestly. I thought I knew everything about love, but I didn't know a damn thing. He was older, confident, the kind of man who looked at you like you were the only woman that mattered. And back then, that was all I wanted, to matter. I was still in college, working nights as a waitress just to afford a tiny room that smelled like cheap paint. He'd wait for me outside after my shift, leaning against his old car, holding a cup of cheap gas station coffee like it was a diamond ring. He always knew how to say the right thing. "You deserve more than this. Let me take care of you." And I let him. A few months later, he asked me to marry him. I didn't even hesitate. Everyone told me to slow down. My mom, my friends, even my boss. But I didn't listen. Love fixes everything, right? We had nothing for a wedding, some dollar store decorations, a backyard barbecue, rings that turned our fingers green. But I felt like the luckiest girl in the world. Our daughter was born a year later, then our son. When I saw him hold them for the first time, I remember thinking, see, this is it. He'll settle down now. We're a real family. But people don't change just because you wish they would. He started staying out late. At first it was working late, then grabbing a beer with the guys, then whole weekends missing, phone turned off, no answers. He'd come home with that smell, cheap perfume I never wore. I'd ask questions, he'd tell lies. And I wanted so badly to believe every single one. Then came the money problems, bills piled up. I'd find final notices buried under junk mail, debt collectors called at night, yelling at me for debts I didn't even understand. Every time, he'd swear he had it handled. He'd hold my face in his hands and say, "Baby, just one more loan, one more chance for the kids, please." So I did it. I signed credit papers I didn't read. I maxed out every card I could get. I borrowed from friends, lied to my parents, just to keep our heads above water. I didn't want to admit I'd married a man who would drown us all. And then, one morning, I woke up and he was gone. Closet half empty, bathroom shelf cleared, not even a real note. Just a line scribbled on the back of a receipt. "You're strong, you'll be fine. I need to find myself." Find himself. I laughed so hard I almost choked on my tears. Because now I had to find a way to feed 2 kids, pay rent, and dig us out of a hole I hadn't even dug. That first day, I just sat on the kitchen floor, staring at the bills spread around. The next morning, I stood up, washed my face, and told myself, "You have 2 babies counting on you. No one's coming to save you. Get up." So I did. I got up every day before the sun, packed my kids' tiny bags for daycare, prayed I'd have enough gas to get to work. I cleaned houses in the mornings, waited tables at night, and picked up any odd job I could find on weekends. Babysitting, pet sitting, anything. Sometimes I'd walk around the grocery store with $5 in my pocket, trying to make it stretch for 3 mouths. Some nights I went to bed hungry just so they didn't have to. I was exhausted all the time. There were days I didn't know what hurt more, my back, my feet, or my heart. But I did it. I did it because those 2 little faces looked at me like I was their whole world. They didn't know how scared I was. They didn't know about the bills hidden in the drawer or the final notices that kept coming. They just knew Mom was there, always. Years passed like that. I learned to manage the debt little by little. I stopped picking up the phone for numbers I didn't know. I learned to fix broken things myself because hiring help cost too much. I learned how strong I could be when I didn't have a choice. Then, one night, everything shifted. It was my best friend's birthday. She begged me to come out, just one night. "You need to feel alive again," she said. I hadn't seen the inside of a club in years. I felt old, out of place, like someone's tired babysitter in jeans that didn't fit right anymore. But for once, I said yes. I remember standing by the bar, a cheap drink in my hand, my mind still half at home with the kids. Then, he showed up. Not the same he, someone else. A stranger, really. He asked if he could buy me a drink. I said no, but we talked anyway. He made me laugh, really laugh, for the first time in what felt like forever. One drink turned into two. We danced. God, I hadn't danced in years. There was something gentle in the way he looked at me. No promises, no lies, just a spark that made me feel like a woman again, not just a tired, broke mom. One dance turned into a kiss. One kiss turned into a mistake I thought I'd never make. I told myself, just one night. You deserve to feel something good. Weeks later, I found myself staring at 2 pink lines on a test in my tiny bathroom. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. I laughed, then cried, then laughed again. Another baby. When I called him that night, I expected the worst. I was ready for him to run, to disappear like the last one did. I told myself I could do it alone. Again, if I had to. I'd done it before, hadn't I? But he didn't run. He came over that same night, still in his work clothes, looking like he'd just seen a ghost when I told him. He didn't say much at first, just sat there, with his hands over his face, breathing heavy. I waited for the excuses, the "I'm not ready," the lies. Instead, he looked up at me and said, "Okay, we're gonna figure this out. I'm not leaving you alone in this." I think I broke right there. Years of being so damn strong, and suddenly I didn't have to be. For the first time, I didn't feel alone. He held my hands and promised me nothing fancy, no fairy tales, just that he'd be there. That was all I needed. A few months later, we got married. No fancy dress, no big party, just me, him, my kids, and a little courthouse ceremony with cheap cake after. He took my son fishing that weekend. He helped my daughter with her homework, like he'd been there since day one. They called him Dad before I even knew they would. We worked hard, together, paid off my old debts one piece at a time. No more hiding bills in drawers. No more loan sharks banging on my door. He showed me that real love isn't grand gestures. It's showing up every day, no matter what. Years went by. We built a real home, one with laughter instead of slammed doors, one where no one had to hide under the covers, wondering if Dad would come home. My kids grew up knowing what family was supposed to feel like. They never forgot who really raised them. Then, like a bad joke, he came back. The man who left me broken on that kitchen floor. One night, out of nowhere, he knocked on my door like a ghost from another life. He looked older, rough around the edges, eyes sunken like all those years of finding himself had eaten him alive. He said, "I've changed. I want to see